Tonight, law enforcement and first responders across Minnesota are grieving the tragic loss of 3 young men in their ranks.
Burnsville police say officers Paul Elmstrand and Matthew Ruge were killed while responding to a domestic incident this morning. Firefighter paramedic Adam Finseth also died. It began around 2 this morning at a home on the 12,000 block of 33rd Avenue South. The man accused of shooting them is dead. We know 7 children were inside the home. They were not hurt. Another Burnsville officer, Sergeant Adam Medlicott, was hurt but is expected to survive. We have team coverage for you this evening tonight from law enforcement and neighbors. We want to begin, though, with David Schuman at a growing vigil honoring the fallen officers and paramedic. David?
Frank, this entire courtyard was filled with people earlier tonight here to support the community of Burnsville and its first responders. Being here, it was clear how important faith and prayer are in times of unspeakable tragedy like this.
Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom.
It's been an emotional day. It's been a hard day.
And a sorrowful evening outside Burnsville City Hall, remembering and paying respect to 2 police officers and a firefighter paramedic shot and killed Sunday morning. They were Paul Elmstrand, who was 27. He joined the department in 2017 and was part of the Mobile Command Staff, Honor Guard, and Field Training Unit. Matthew Ruge was also 27 and joined in 2019. He was on the Crisis Negotiations team. Adam Finseth was 40. Before joining up with Burnsville in 2019, he worked in other cities, including Hastings.
Please also keep in your hearts, there is an officer who is in the hospital.
That's Sergeant Adam Medlicott, expected to live. Burnsville City Manager thanked the community for its support and grace.
The men and women of our police department and our fire department who choose to come to work every day and risk their lives to the benefit of all of us.
Senator Amy Klobuchar and Congresswoman Angie Craig paid their respects.
I can't imagine the pain that you're all going through. I just can't imagine. But what I want to say is to all of our officers out there, to all of our paramedics, our fire department, thank you for what you do.
Police from cities across the metro showed solidarity, sharing the space with a grieving community that reaches far beyond Burnsville.
Yeah, I was a reserve officer with Minnetonka, 89-90, so I feel very warm to that part of the community helping us.
No family members of the victims were here tonight, but the city will be sharing how people can support those families financially if they'd like to. Amelia?
All right. David Schuman, thank you.
One of the most powerful and solemn moments of the day came from fellow first responders, and our Derek James continues our team coverage now.
Yeah, this is so painful for so many of them, Frank and Amelia. Minnesotans are standing with the fallen first responders in a show of sadness, respect, and gratitude. An emotional journey took them from downtown Minneapolis to the medical examiner's office in Minnetonka. Surrounded in support, their caskets draped in American flags were carried into vans outside the hospital as a crowd of law enforcement stood to salute them. Doctors, nurses, and other Hennepin healthcare staff lined up in the skyway to see them off. This photo capturing the impact of the moment inside. Police, fire, and paramedic vehicles stayed close as the vans departed downtown. Hundreds lined Twin Cities streets along the 16-mile route to pay their respects. Firefighters saluted their fallen brothers from the tops of their trucks on an overpass. Other companies hanging American flags from ends of their ladders. As the procession approached Minnetonka, families stood solemnly on the side of the street. When they reached the medical examiner's office, the escort didn't end at the entrance. The group walked in alongside the fallen first responders, so they were never alone. Now, funeral details will be shared in the coming days as they're still being arranged tonight, but we do know an honor guard of local deputies will be with the fallen officers around the clock as a sign of respect. Amelia?
Thanks, Derek. This afternoon, Burnsville city leaders called the men heroes and said words cannot express how hard today has been.
We're going to support each other. We're going to care for one another as a team, because we talk a lot about in this organization and as a family that if we take care of each other, that's when we can best care for our community. And we're going to do that, and it's going to be hard.
Investigators say more details of what happened will be shared in the coming days. Jonah Kaplan has been in Burnsville hearing from investigators and neighbors. He joins us now from the scene. Jonah, what a difficult day.
And Amelia, they're doing all this work while balancing such emotional, raw feelings, having to do their job and mourn really at the same time. You see this yellow crime scene tape. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's been nearly 24 hours now since that first call at about 2 a.m. Sunday morning. Investigators, detectives still looking for answers to what led up to this tragedy.
I need an ambulance to stand by on the address, and I need 2 additional ambulances.
According to investigators, police first arriving after a call for a family in danger. Officers trying unsuccessfully to defuse the tension. Paramedics coming in for backup around 5 a.m. Minutes later, though, dispatch ordering everyone to stay back.
Medics, please back off. Medics, back off and turn off lights.
The whole ordeal waking up and startling the neighborhood. Sean Flynn lives around the corner. When you look outside, what are the things that stick out to you?
Just a collection of officers right around in this intersection, blocking it off, looking around.
You see the cars, you see the officers. Can you tell us something, though, by their body language?
They were very tense. A lot of looking around, seeming nervous.
Police say the armed man was barricaded inside along with his family. He opened fire. Video shows at least one SWAT vehicle with its windshield nearly shattered by bullets. 2 officers were struck and killed. So was a paramedic trying to help them.
Every day we want them to go home to their families. Every day we pray that they go home to their families. And today that's not happening. We are all hurting.
State investigators confirming the suspect died in the confrontation with police. However, family members in the home made it out safely.
Definitely some extra hugs and cuddles this morning with my boys and my wife and everything. Just thankful that that something like that has never happened in our life and hopefully never will. But it's also a stark reminder that you never know what's going to happen. You can wake up Sunday morning and everything's gone sideways.
And you still see, again, so many police cruisers here from Apple Valley, from Lakeville, from all over the metro here. They're going to be covering for Burnsville over the next several days. And of course, we know about that 3rd officer who was also struck, but thankfully he is making progress at the hospital. We understand he's going to be making a full recovery. Amelia.
Well, that's certainly good news. Jonah, we understand that there were 7 kids in that home. Do you have any information about them and what else we can expect to learn in the coming days?
Well, there are so many unanswered questions, and I think for investigators here, this is something they want to get done right instead of get done fast. We're also asking a lot of questions. First of all, have police even been here before? Have they been called here before? What was the nature of the relationship between the suspect and the 7 children? Was there another family member that was in the house? Where are the children right now? Several questions, again, we're going to continue to ask, as well as these investigators, as we piece this all together for this grieving community.
All right, Jonah Kaplan live in Burnsville. Thank you.
This latest tragedy comes at a difficult time for law enforcement. It has been a tough 10 months. Today's incident marks the 9th time since June that first responders have been killed or hurt by gunfire in Minnesota or surrounding communities. The Officer Down Memorial says a total of 18 officers nationwide have been killed in the line of duty, 4 of them by gunfire. People across Minnesota and the country are sharing their reaction to the tragedy.
The Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association said in part, these heroes leave behind loved ones and a community who will forever remember their bravery and dedication to keeping Minnesotans safe.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz called the turn of events in Burnsville horrific. He said it will take some time for everyone to process what happened.
State stands ready to assist in any way possible. That's just not today and tomorrow, it's for years to come. And I think for Minnesotans to recognize families that are shattered by something like this forever, that'll ever change it.
Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and Senate Majority Leader Aaron Murphy shared their thoughts in person. They were guests this morning on WCCO Sunday Morning.
It is a horrific tragedy. It's so sad. It reminds us of the courage required to be in a profession, to go in those dangerous situations, to help those of us who need help and put their lives on the line. It's really a special kind of person that chooses that career and makes that commitment for us.
This is a devastating morning for the families of our law enforcement officers and first responders. A devastating morning for the community of Burnsville and for Minnesotans.
And Derek James is back now to show us how today's loss is really making an impact across the country.
Yeah, that's right, Frank and Amelia. Condolences are pouring in not only from Minnesota, but across the country. As flags are at half-staff tonight all over the metro, law enforcement agencies from Nevada to Pennsylvania are standing with the families of the first responders, the law enforcement community, and the people of Minnesota. The Hennepin County Sheriff's Office among those sharing their heartbreak and offering support to the agencies. Chicago police posting that their hearts are with the families of the 3 first responders. Des Moines police sharing this image, which reads, "We stand with you." Minnesota's sports teams also among those sharing love and prayers with the community tonight. The families of the victims, Frank and Amelia, are going to need additional support for a long time.
Yeah, I think that, and I think maybe communities too. I mean, you could see the outpouring, the story you did earlier, so many people, you know, just strangers coming out there. And I think it's horrible when this happens to one individual, but the scope of this.
It affects us all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it'll be remembered, I think, for a long, long time here. That and the fact they're all so young.
In their 20s, yeah.
And courageous. So,
thank you,
thanks, Derek.
Of course, we are working to learn more about the men who died and what happened this morning. We'll share any new information as soon as we get it. We'll share that on TV and online.